Firewalker brought up an elephant. The truth is an elephant described by 3 blind men. First man touches the tail and says it's a rope. Second man feels the rough leg, says it's a tree. Third man feels the trunk, says it's a snake.
What about you? What do you say it is?
I say the earth holds some truths best left buried.
Hello and welcome to episode 36 of Most of This is an X-Files podcast, where we invite you... I don't know why I'll keep copying that in. That's not how we usually start the episode.
No, it's not. You keep on going back to our old start.
I think I just copied it down the once. But anyway, I'm Luke, and you're Checks.
Yes, I am. You're going to wait for me to introduce myself then as well?
No, I'm taking that away from you.
Yeah.
How's it going, Checks?
It's not so
how's your
bad.
week been?
Oh, you've asked me this week.
Yeah, I
Fantastic.
remembered.
I like the fact that we used to be really precious about our intros, and now we just go with it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think we've taken a second take of our intro for a long, long time, but I think it works. I like this sort of just chaos.
Yeah, it's the best way to do it. It's sort of... It feels more conversational. You feel like you're sitting down with some pals,
Yeah,
talking about X-Files.
Yeah.
You don't want us to like broadcast it to you and go, this is the official...
No, it doesn't. You don't want us to be reading off a script.
Yeah.
You want us to give our all and give a performance.
You just want us vibing. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Vibing.
Yeah. Let's vibe some more. Let's
No, just tell us what you got.
no, we're gonna vibe.
It's good vibing, man.
Mulder's a catch.
Well, that's it then. How's your week been?
Those improv classes gives me.
I feel like we rely too much on the awkward silence.
Yeah,
recently.
we do. That's like 90% of our comedy.
Pretty much it. Somebody says something and just do not bite.
But you know what? It's funny every time, so
Yeah.
that's fine. I think maybe it's just funny to us. Let us know.
Yeah, you're like, nah,
we just get a series of tweets. Not funny.
No. Shut up and get on with the X-Files.
My week's been fine, mate.
Not too much. The lead up to Christmas is on as the globe's out. All your decorations are up now.
Yes, they are. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got all the decorations up. Yeah, it's just around the corner.
Pretty much, yeah.
A week away.
Yeah. I forget how we record these. I'm like, oh yeah, Christmas is coming. You got any plans?
So yeah, I'm just going to be around families for Christmas. Nothing special, but it's my favourite day of the year. You know what I mean? I literally don't do anything special. But I don't know. I love Christmas, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I know there's so many people. I don't know whether it's trying to be cool or trying to sort of be different, maybe. But there's so many people that are just so negative about Christmas. I'm just like, make the most of it. Like, you don't have. No one is forcing you to do something that you don't want to do. It's just I get to see my family and just all be together where we're all. There's no pressure to do anything, and I love that. I really do. What about yourself? Are you doing anything?
Christmas itself, me and Tasha sort of doing. We're doing it at ours this year, where we're just doing Christmas ourselves. I think we didn't last year. Well, we sort of had a bit to ourselves, and then we went to family.
Okay,
but
yeah.
we're sort of doing it with ourselves because with us neither of us driving, it's hard to go to
Get around, especially on Christmas Day.
I think like when we start, well, one of us drives. I think it'd be like both families and stuff like that. And we'll probably will do that, but for now we just thought to stop. Well, swapping and doing this, that, the other. We thought we'll just do it ourselves, and then we'll see family either side of the holidays.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's not too bad. Sadly, I am working not through Christmas, obviously, but around it.
Same. To be fair, but you know what? Even that, I don't mind because you get to celebrate Christmas with people from the office and people you know. There's still a big part of your life.
It's usually a chilled out vibe as well. And
it tends to be. Yeah, I'm really looking forward. I've got a couple of Christmas parties coming up, which they're guaranteed to get messy. I dread to think what state I'm going to be in. But
at the time of recording Minds Week, it will have gone by the time this.
Yeah, same for me. Yeah. So I think we've spoke about what we're doing before on the pod. The only other thing I was going to mention to you is I went to see the production of Dracula in the theatre.
Oh yeah, I saw you tweet about it actually, or Instagram. Something
Yeah,
about it.
Really good, you know, really good. And some of the practical effects. We were speaking. This is so many episodes ago, but we were speaking about the quality of practical effects when done right and how effective they can be. And a lot of it was that, like, it was just such a really well performed, obviously, but they had like these strobe lights on either side of the stage, and they used that throughout to shock and to sort of, like, a lot of the how do I say this? A lot of the sequences they would put behind the strobe lights, so you couldn't see half of what was going on, but that made it so that you was imagining what was going on.
Yeah.
And it was like there was one part where obviously he turns into Dracula, and he turns into the story as he turns into this bat and flies off, and the actor playing him runs towards sort of the audience on the stage and goes to jump off the stage, and then the strobe light hits, it sort of blinds you, and he's disappeared, but like in your head, he's just flew off. It was really clever the way they did it.
Pretty good, actually. Yeah.
The only thing is, they start the show with like this, literally no warning. It just this blaring sound, and everyone in the audience like jumped out of their skin.
Dracula. That's how it starts.
Not quite, but it's
okay.
big strobe lighting, and then the music, and it scared everybody. And then obviously you had the interval, and it's funny. But it's a sign of the world we live in. So we go back in and we sit down and we're ready for the second half. And the second half begins with one of the characters from the audience running onto stage, like no warning or anything like that. He runs onto stage and he's screaming and he's like, no, you can't do this. I think he's basically like in a mental asylum. He's like, no, you can't do this, blah, blah, blah. And everyone stands up and starts looking over. I thought it was a terrorist attack. Honest to God.
Yeah,
and,
I knew.
There was a little bit of me, like, I just sat there, because we was quite in the back row on the upper tier. And, like, there was a bit of me that went, I looked round at my friend who we went with, and I thought, my God, I thought someone was kicking off. And it's a sign of the times that we live in, and that's my first go-to. That was more scary than the first part, because I was terrified.
that would be an interesting twist. Dracula's actually now a jihadi terrorist.
I don't know what it was, and you know what? It makes it sound so dramatic. It was literally half a second before I realised what was going on. But for that half a second, my throat, my heart was in my throat, because it was just, you hear someone like really kicking off, like proper screaming, because obviously he's performing. And that's my first instinct. I was like, oh, I've got to get out of here. Like, you know what I mean? Oh my God.
Do you know what though? I do think that, like, because it's on like the news cycle and you see it like often and stuff like that, it does hype it up for you, and it does, like, there's so many times where I'm just like, oh, you know, it's all like, you know, scaremongering and stuff. But then that it does plant the idea in your head. There's only like, if somebody starts acting really suspiciously, like on a train or something like, and you're like, what are they doing? What's going on here? And you do start to think those things. You shouldn't, because
no, of course,
because 99.9% of the Earth's population are not trying to kill you. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, I know you're in the same camp as me. Yeah. Like, you can't let these things stop you.
Oh no!
Like,
that's
how many times have we had? There's like been a bomb threat in Birmingham, which is close to where we live, and people around us says, "Oh, don't travel," and me and you have gone, I ain't stopping living because of this.
Yeah.
Like, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. Like, it's no difference.
Skinner even said in the last
episode, exactly. So we've got the same wavelength, but I know for a fact my fiance, who has the same thoughts as me, she's got this weird thing, and it's not weird. It's, again, a sign of the times we live in. But if we go to a gig or something like that, she'll scan for exits.
Yeah.
And even though it doesn't make her, she does it subconsciously. She doesn't, like, it's not ruining her time. She's not afraid. She's not ridden with anxiety. But whenever she goes into a place, I know if I asked her, she'd tell me where the nearest exit is and where she would go if it was an attack.
Sounds weird. I do similar kind of things sometimes. Yeah. Like, it's not so much that I think, oh, there's going to be a terrorist attack, but instinctively, I'm like, if there's like a fire or something like, how do I get out? Like, if I need to, and I do the same thing. So I think it's just
it's strange though, isn't it? It's like ingrained in your head. This took a weird turn. Sorry about that. But
you got any Christmas traditions that you like?
What's your Christmas? Well, before we start the episode, we'll start on a nice topic. What's your Christmas breakfast?
I don't really have like a.
You're doing Christmas wrong, then, mate.
No, we don't have Christmas breakfast. We do have a Christmas ritual that's gone on for years.
Is this dirty?
No. Far from it. We don't do that on Christmas. In front of the elves.
Sorry for insinuating something there. Yeah, you might. Christmas is a sacred day.
So, Christmas morning, we get up, we open presents first, but something needs to be on in the background on the TV.
Okay.
Or what is happening.
What's that?
The Peep Show Christmas episode.
Oh, really? Every year?
Every year. In the last 2 years, this will be the third one running, It's hard to get a tradition, like...
You know what? That's how traditions start. Yeah. Traditions aren't started by trying to make a tradition.
Yeah.
It's just something that happens.
Yeah.
So I have a similar thing. Every Christmas day I watch The Muppets Christmas Carol. Every Christmas day. And we always have the same thing. We have waffles and bacon for breakfast with a glass of... is it Bucks Fizz?
Bucks Fizz, yeah.
Yeah, a glass of Bucks Fizz, be it 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning. Glass of Bucks Fizz to start us off the day. Start off the day, should I say, with waffles and bacon.
That's not bad.
Bit of maple syrup.
I do have more Christmas topics in my head.
Yeah.
But I think as next special...
Yes. Shall we save Christmas for our Christmas special?
We'll save all of our Christmassy topics. Because, to be honest, a Simpsons episode is 22 minutes long or around that, about a lot shorter than the X-Files.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to have that much to talk about. So I think we'll add in some Christmas-like topics. So.
We'll talk about a Christmas a little bit. We'll have a Christmas day. So everyone can join us for our most unwanted Christmas day.
Sorry, the most unwanted Christmas day. It doesn't have the right ring to it, does it?
Little bit of it.
Who's invited him again? I say him to try and keep it unspecific. You can imagine whoever you want, him or her. The worst person you would want at your Christmas day.
That's exactly right. So we're going to have our most unwanted Christmas. And if you want to discuss any topics or you've got any Christmas questions, get them in, get involved. You're all invited to the most unwanted Christmas spectacular.
Yeah.
Next week.
Cracker your log. I don't know.
Yeah, do that if you want.
Cracker your log. Open the advent calendar, label 25. Actually 26.
Yeah, so that's the thing. We're creating a new window on that advent calendar. You get chocolates every other day. 25, you get a massive chocolate. 26, most unwanted. Our faces just pop out.
That'd be terrifying. Anyway.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it now.
Well, that's a fiery topic you got there. So,
oh God, I'm just seeing what you're trying to do. Go on, you go for it.
I think we should start talking about our latest episode,
which is titled
Firewalker. So, this is episode 9 of series 2, titled Firewalker. It was directed by David Nutter, written by Howard Gordon, and the original air date was November the 18th, 1994.
Okay.
As we mentioned, we're putting production notes at the end there to not spoil anything.
Yeah, so I think it works better that way. Yeah, definitely.
We'll stop bringing that up after this one, otherwise.
No, we'll tell you every time.
Every time about our previous format. So yeah, we'll come back to that later. So anyway, we'll jump into the episode. So we're at the California Institute of Technology. It's specifically the Volcano Observatory. It doesn't actually say this, I don't think, at the bottom, does it? I don't think it actually says this thing. It's an exterior shot of the building. Yes,
it is, yeah.
But this is the California Institute of Technology.
Close enough.
SIT, I believe.
Oh.
It was actually shown to. I think it was in like...
What's SIT stand for?
The California Institute of Technology. Specifically, the Volcano Observatory.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
VO.
Yeah. Anyway, two guys sort of come into shop, bursting through a door. I say bursting, they weren't like kicking the door in, but they come through the door. I didn't know their names initially because the way X-Ray did it, it showed pretty much every character at the beginning, so I was like, I couldn't work out which one was who. So I called these guys Glasses and Quiff.
Oh, okay, nice.
For a short period of time until I got to name them.
Let's stick with that.
So they look like scientists,
yeah,
as you would expect in the California Institute of Technology.
Yeah. What division?
The Volcano Observatory.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's in Pasadena.
That's a mouthful. Is there a shortened version?
Sitvo.
Sitvo.
Sweet. Yeah. Sitvo Paca.
Paca. What's
Pasadena, California.
Oh, nice. Sitvo Paca.
Yeah. So Sitvo Paca. It sounds like a slur.
Bless you. That's a joke my dad used to make.
The classics never die. That's all I'm saying.
No, they don't.
So Glasses is being briefed by Quiff, and Glasses says that maybe it was a satellite glitch, but Quiff says that they've received a message from the Volcano Research Team, and they both now enter a room that does say Volcano Research Team Data Room. So very, very official.
Yeah.
Quiff says... Sorry, it sounds so weird just saying Quiff says. He does have a name. We'll name him later. Quiff says that they have a video from the Firewalker's video camera that might help. And we start seeing an air temperature gauge that shows over 300 Celsius. So, hot.
Yes.
That's what we could take away from that. Glasses asks what the robot was doing in the volcano. And Quiff says there was no scheduled descent for that day. Another guy, who I've named Ponytail,
nice.
As you can tell, I have quite an imagination, says that they've lost control of the robot. All they have is the video controls. So they start panning the video, and we notice this shape. They go past the shape, and it clearly looks human.
Yeah. I think the audience is meant to see this before they do. And
they do the old classic, stop, go back.
Yeah.
So that was terrible accent.
That was your American accent? That was amazing.
That was my Hollywood action accent.
Oh, do it again.
Stop, go back.
Ooh, coming this far.
In a world
where accents don't make sense.
So they pan back, obviously, as they saw this figure, and it is definitely a human. A focus is in, and Glasses says that this dead person is Erickson.
Yeah.
And they notice that there's a shadow moving. They see it like looming over
and
this guy.
What was it, 300 degrees?
300 Celsius, yeah. So they start panning the camera around again to try and find the shadow. And then the camera starts shaking, and then just cuts to static. So we're left wondering what this shadow actually was.
You assume it's some sort of creature, but we actually, thinking back on it, we never find out.
It doesn't explicitly say. The assumption.
That's a good point. Actually,
the assumption is that it's Trepkos,
but it can't be because it's 300 degrees.
And he's a normal human being.
Yeah,
unless that's what.
No, he. There's no way he would have survived. So is the. I'm vamping as we go now because I hadn't thought about this until we've just come to talk about it. Is the insinuation here that this being that creates the spores is like an actual larger monster in the first place?
They say later on that it looked like a rock, so it was just a spore. So
what's this shadow then?
Good. I have no idea. No, I literally don't know anymore. No idea. No idea what this is.
Okay.
And it's not explained, so we'll never know.
No. I mean, it doesn't really determine the story. It's fine.
It's just like a creepy intro.
Yeah.
Ooh, what was that? So.
What was that?
What was that? Anyway, we go into the opening title sequence, which we lovingly recapped last episode. I think that's covered. We don't need to cover it ever again. Mm-hmm. I
want to cover it again.
Until something else.
Yeah, did it have a different message though?
No, it's the same.
It was the same, yes. I'm going to keep catching you out on that though. The 1 week you skip it is going to be the week that it changes.
Luke is a dick. I'm like, what?
How did they know? It's been 20 years.
How did they know in 19 years' time I would be watching this? Anyway.
I like how you're not refuting the fact. You're angry that they've called you out on it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's not far from the truth, but you know. We cut to Mulder's office. It just says Mulder's office, but it's both of their offices. I don't know why it specifically
the X-Files
says. Yeah,
office.
the X-Files office. And we see Mulder.
It was Mulder's office to begin with.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I feel like you sort of... No, they're a partnership, though. It's both. It's both. Talking of partnership, we see Mulder and Scully.
Hey, they're back.
Yeah,
they're back. Scully looks different.
Just had a baby.
She has, and,
Maybe that's...
You glow when you've had a baby.
Yeah, so I hear,
I mean, not in a bad way. I feel like you're putting me in this corner, like, making me look bad by your silence.
No,
she just looks different.
Yeah.
She looks lovely.
I wasn't doing anything. You're digging your own hole here, my friend. Anyway.
Scully looks nice.
What do you mean by that?
I
can't win! But anyway, we see them in the office watching a video report with glasses, who we do find out later, his name is Pierce. We don't actually find out who the other guys are. They're just scientist guys. They're just his Pierce mates. Pierce mates. There we go. Anyway, they're now watching a news report because I think initially showing him the video that they've just seen, and he flicks to a news report detailing the Firewalker, which is a new robot which has been built to enter active volcanoes.
Just a nice little bit of exposition here, to be fair.
Yeah.
That's basically what this is for.
Yeah, and we meet the brainchild of the project, who's been interviewed, and it's Daniel Trepkos. Now, this guy, very famous face, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe not so at this time, but I feel like now he's way more high profile.
Tons of stuff,
yeah. He's been in an Oscar-nominated film.
Come on, what's he been in? He's been in... You're talking about Get Out, I'm guessing.
I've got 3 things listed down here that he was in that I know.
Can I guess then? If you've got them listed.
Go on then. Yeah.
So Get Out is the one that you're thinking of.
Yes.
He's been in Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip.
I don't have that one listed down.
It's an old TV show. West Wing.
Don't have that listed down, but he was in that, yeah.
He was in the West Wing. He was also in... he played a scientist in a horror film...
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
What was that called?
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods, yeah. Is that one on your list? Oh my god. Go on, what are the other 2 on your list?
So he's in The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, of course he is, of course he is, yeah.
Have you seen up to that point yet?
No, but I know he's in it.
Yeah.
I like the actor, to be honest.
I won't say any more. Also for the listeners, I won't say any more.
Yeah, of course.
And he's also in Saving Mr. Banks, which I had recently watched.
I've not seen that yet.
You've not?
No, I have. I have a long time ago. Who does he play in that?
He plays one of the songwriters.
He does? Yeah, with...
Jason Schwartzman and...
Yeah, Jason Schwartzman. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know the other guy's name. But yeah, he's in Saving Mr. Banks, which, I'd recently watched.
Yeah.
Like a few days ago, before this episode. Film. Yeah, I love that film. That film, the tangent so early on, but, we've just got to do it as it comes up.
Starts with me to go on.
Exactly, yeah. That film is brilliant because it, to me, Mary Poppins was always just, a floaty, happy-go-lucky Disney film, with no... Not to say it had no real message, but the message...
With no depth.
Yeah, there was no depth to it. Saving Mr. Banks changes that into such a deep film, and knowing what the backstory is to it, whether they're intentional or not. But yeah. But anyway, less about Bradley Whitford and more about Trepkos, as he says that this is about seeing the origins of Earth, seeing into the fires where it all began. Throughout this episode, Trepkos, he has quite a way with words.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I feel like he's the kind of guy I wouldn't enjoy hanging around.
Yeah, it feels like everything he says is a soliloquy. I can't even say the words, so I'm definitely not me.
I also feel like he thinks a lot more of himself than anyone else does. Like, everyone throughout the episode, everyone refers to him as a genius, as a visionary, and I feel like he knows that because he makes himself out. Again, nothing against him in this episode because you don't really see that side of him, really.
No,
you hear stories of it, but you don't see too much of it. But I just get the impression I wouldn't enjoy hanging around with this man.
And he says that this is also more important than the journey into space. At which point, Glasses, Pierce, stops the video. I should probably stop calling him Glasses at this point. He stops the video and he says that Daniel had a flair for self-dramatization, which is pretty much what we've
just said, yeah.
Mulder comments on his work. Mulder and Scully comment on his work as they've heard of him before. And Pierce says that he's more than brilliant. He says that the scientists sent a distress signal after failing to report in and have stopped responding. And that's why he's come to them, basically.
Yeah.
He then shows the video. Sorry, I got it mixed up. Yeah, he then shows the video from Firewalker earlier about on the floor of the volcano. I got it the wrong way around. And he says that this guy who's died in this video is Phil Erickson, and he's their chief seismologist. And Mulder sees the shadow.
He gets freaked out by it, doesn't he?
Really gets freaked out, yeah.
Oh my god!
What is it? To be fair, kind of what the reaction we had. What the hell was that?
Yeah, I suppose, but it just made me laugh at how much he freaked out about it.
Yeah, yeah. And he says the temperature is upwards of 130 degrees. I'm guessing that's Fahrenheit because we saw it at 300.
Oh, don't talk to me about Fahrenheit. I have no idea the difference between Fahrenheit and Celsius. I work on Celsius.
Yeah.
I know Fahrenheit's the more universally used one, and I
thought Celsius was like...
No, anywhere in I know America used Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And I know everywhere in Europe they've used Fahrenheit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought Celsius was like the metric system version.
I don't talk to me about the metric. I don't know. I don't even, what system do we use? Is it the metric or the imperial?
Metric these days.
So is
Imperial's
is mile metric?
No, that's imperial.
Why, you confuse me, Luke? I don't know.
I think for distances we use imperial for like...
Why? Why would we confuse ourselves?
Because we're British and we like to just mess things
Oh.
up.
I like kilometres,
Yeah.
but I can't use them. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't understand them. Like, I know how long a mile is.
Yeah.
Kilometres, it's in the title, it's 1,000 metres, and I still can't figure it out. I'm no good at this.
Yeah, it's...
You're bothering me, Luke. Can we move on?
On many levels. It's a good callback though, eh? Two episodes ago. Should be him reading the tweets, I suppose, again. Mulder asks why Pierce wasn't there, and he says that he left 6 weeks ago due to him and Trepkos nearly coming to blows, he says. And Scully questions why this happened, and Pierce says that he found him slipping into madness, and he said that he was controlling the people around him. So, interesting setup that we're immediately antagonising this guy.
Yeah, it's a mad scientist vibe, isn't it?
Yeah. And Mulder asks if if Trepkos is responsible for what's happened, like, if them going missing. And Pierce says he hopes not. With $20 million tax dollars on the project, he's afraid to go through the proper channels, so the story doesn't get out, basically.
Yeah.
So that's why he's come to them, to which they note, we're not exactly the normal channels.
Yeah. How would you find out about the X-Files?
That's a good point, isn't it?
I'm sure they don't advertise in the paper.
I remember, what episode was it now? The one with the woman from Friends. What's her name now? Janice. The one that she was in, she mentioned that she'd heard of them through a brother or something like that.
It was. And you had the other one with... God, we should really know these episodes. What was the one with Janice called? Come on, we can think of that.
Was that called Born Again?
I think it might have been.
Yeah, we had this discussion earlier, didn't we? Like off camera, where we were getting confused with that and the
problem is, we were so good at it back in the day when we had only 15 episodes to worry about.
Yeah, imagine when we get to like series 5, we're not going to
like
that clue.
That one with Mulder in.
The hardcore fans are like, don't even do that.
Yeah, really angry.
Yeah, we're sorry, we're crap.
I reckon we'll know it more when we go through like our end of season review.
Definitely.
All the episodes again.
Yeah, exactly. I think that cements it for us, like the high quality one. Pierce says that he has a flight waiting for them to take them to Seattle, and then a helicopter from there to Mount Avalon, which is where their project is. Mulder questions if Scully should go after what has happened.
Yeah.
So I wonder how much time has passed since then. Obviously, Scully's now seeming fine.
Fit.
So it must have been a few weeks after or something like that. So she's had time to get back in the saddle, so they say.
Yeah. Back on the saddle.
I thought it was back in the saddle.
Be in a saddle?
Yeah.
Can you?
I always thought it was
in the saddle.
Yeah.
I will have a look.
You always do this.
I know, and I always make a fool of myself as well. How can you be in a saddle?
Sort of like how you... I was going to say sort of like how you're in a car, in it, but that's
But
different because you are inside
car,
it.
Yeah.
I don't understand. To be fair, it's English. The English language is known for being really confusing.
You are right. You are. It's Back in the Saddle.
I've heard it because somebody's album was called Back in the Saddle.
Was it Aerosmith?
It might be. I don't even like Aerosmith. I don't know why.
You love Aerosmith?
Yeah. Well, I love the ride when there was no music on it. I was like, this is perfect. Scully says that she's ready and she wants to get back to work. And she says she's already lost too much time. Bringing that theme of lost time up again as well, I thought. I don't know if it is intentional, but I get the feeling it would be. You know what I mean? Like, they don't tend to just throw these things out there. So, yeah, what do you think about this setup so far?
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed this. The start of it. I think I always enjoy Monster of the Week, if you like, or whatever you want to call this. I always enjoy these episodes a lot more after a Mythos episode. Because I enjoy just going back to... I think if you have constant Mythos episodes, it would wear me down. Yeah. I enjoy going back to this one where I can find out new characters and I get introduced into a story. It's contained. Yeah. I
like the variation, like, of sort of going from... Yeah, we had a few intense story episodes now, a few more Monster of the Weeks, and then back to it again.
Yeah, exactly.
I think when they start getting too many of one in a row, it starts to be like, okay,
tedious a little bit. Yeah. So I really enjoyed this intro. Yeah, and I was looking forward to what happened and where it's going to go.
So then we go to we're flying over the Cascade Mountain Range, and we see the forest below. Pierce points out to the volcano that they're heading to. And they land at the base. And the first thing that you notice is the radio dish is knocked down. And he says this was their satellite relay, which was basically getting their messages out there. And that's why they've stopped responding.
Exactly, yeah.
Mulder says that they'll look inside first and try and make contact with the team. Pierce seems more concerned with the tech.
Yeah, this is quite suspicious.
Yeah, he starts saying that he's responsible for all this damaged equipment and the cost of it. Scully sort of brings up the point again, saying, shouldn't we find the descent team first?
Aren't they more important at this particular moment?
Basically, but he says he just wants to do a quick damage survey. So again, it just seems like he's a very much a company man, you know what I mean, and less concerned with the actual people there, more about the tax dollars, like you mentioned.
I couldn't work this out. I couldn't work out whether he was... I thought this might be leading up to a twist where he's involved in some way, because I just thought it was so callous to just not care about these people that could possibly have died.
That's the thing, because he might have for all that's said, he might not get on with Trepkos, but the rest of the team, he seemed to indicate that he was actually or maybe he was just doing it to get them on side, like Mulder and Scully.
Possibly, I don't know. But in the end, it turns out to be fairly innocent. He's just a guy that's wrapped up in his work.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And he says he'll catch up with them in a few minutes while he's doing this. So Mulder and Scully carry on inside. The base lights are off, and they try to turn them on. They're just not working. So they go into the dark. They find all these smashed up monitors, and the desks have been ruined. Yeah. Everything's just wrecked. And Mulder says that someone wanted to put them permanently out of commission. He looks in another room. And we see that there's a head peering from behind a wall.
Yeah, Mulder doesn't notice this.
Yeah.
We see this before Mulder finds out.
Yeah, and he's sort of watching Mulder. And we later find out this guy is Jason Ludwig, who's part of this team. But he has a weapon, and it sort of looks like a pick or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's an ice pick.
Yeah, something like that. Or a rock, I don't know. Some kind of pick, anyway.
Oh, yeah, it could be a rock pick. That would make more sense, actually, wouldn't
didn't want to put you on blast.
Yeah, you did though, didn't you?
Sorry. Mulder's looking...
Nice, speaking of volcano. You never know.
To be fair, this episode's got more than a few ties to ice.
Yeah, good point. Very good points. Touche.
Yeah, we'll get to that towards the end. Mulder's looking at some of these science desks, and we see that this guy's still watching him. Mulder heads back towards this corridor, and the man just takes a swing for him with this pick, and Mulder dodges it and takes him there, basically slams him on a desk as Scully runs over. And the guy keeps saying it's not what it looks like. And he says he made a mistake. And as Mulder asks him who the hell he is. And he explains who he is, Ludwig, and that he's the robotics engineer.
Yeah.
And he said he thought it was him. He said he thought he was just trying to protect himself. Mulder asks who does he need to protect himself from? And he just simply replies, Trepkos.
Yeah.
So, again, they're demonising this Trepkos guy, and we're meant to think that he is.
He's the one that's destroyed the equipment. He is the one that's made them fear for their lives.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, he is, but...
Yeah.
And they have every right to fear him, I suppose.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
We'll find out why that is later on.
We see his side of the story.
Yeah. I feel like the way that they're painting him up as the villain so much, it was becoming a bit obvious that there was more to the story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not necessarily a bad thing, I don't think. That is usually, that's just like a normal storytelling trope, I guess. But they head downstairs with Ludwig now as he explains about Trepkos, and he says that he was always hot and cold. He wouldn't talk for days on end, and then all of a sudden you couldn't shut him up. Saying he's sort of like a quirky character, I suppose. And he said that he's revered. He calls him a prophet who saw things that people like them would only dream about. So again, more of this like...
They really big him up, don't they?
Yeah.
I can't imagine being sort of idolised like that in the workplace. Like, don't you think it'd get annoying?
Either that or it'd go to your head. You know
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you start believing in the hype,
Yeah, exactly. It's how boxers get so big-headed, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you can't get to the top in that game without believing that you are the best in the world.
Yeah. I think, isn't it like some of the boxers believe that like they would like make stuff up about like they could, is it Muhammad Ali that said he can box with God and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one. So yeah,
it's.
I mean, it's all hype talk, like, but
it's 80% mind.
Yeah, exactly.
It's 20% body. You know what I mean? And it's really true. If you go in there with even the slightest doubt, it hinders your entire game.
Mm-hmm. I think I read ages ago. Actually, this is a bit of a tangent, but like fighting, like if you're not geared to fight, you shouldn't even try.
Yeah.
Like, do you know, like these people who are like teaching, what's it called, self-defense and stuff like that?
Yeah.
That's helpful to try and get out away from a situation, but you should never go into a situation thinking that I'm going to knock somebody out if you're not the type of person to do that, because you have to sort of be wanting to knock somebody out. You know what I mean? Like it's an interesting mindset that you have to have. But anyway, Ludwig flips a switch and the lights come on. It's basically just a fuse. And he says you can come out now to some unknown people.
Yeah. I
thought it was a person, but lo and behold, the entire team comes out.
Yeah, it's really quite creepy actually. Like,
they're
just all sat in the dark and like they didn't know they were coming.
Yeah.
Surely, I suppose was the helicopter right outside? They had to walk to it, didn't they?
It landed like pretty much right next to the base.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. Because
maybe they heard the helicopter then.
They did that awkward run where you crouch.
Oh
away
yeah,
from the
crouch run. Yeah.
I always see that in like. Do you have to do that? Could you not just walk away? And most people aren't taller than a helicopter.
No, I don't think you have to do it now.
Yeah.
I think it's just...
Is it instinctual where you're like, I better not try and get my head cut off or something?
I mean, the only thing I can relate it to is if I ever visit my mom, when I'm going down the stairs, she's got like this really low wall, and I've tested it. I've walked straight going down the stairs, and I don't hit it.
Yeah.
But I still duck every time I get there because I can feel like my head's gonna just bang off the edge of that wall.
Do you know what the funny thing is? Do you know this is going to be a really niche reference. Do you remember Wolverhampton train station?
That one,
that little bit where it says low or please duck or something like that. I am nowhere near close.
Do you still duck?
I always duck. I'm a good 6 to 8 inches away from that. It's like there's no way he could touch me. Yeah, I always duck because it tells me to.
Yeah, I'm the same. I always duck in that bit as well.
I'm going to be the same if I'm driving. I'll driving a normal car and it'll say max headroom. I'll be like, whoa. Anyway, again, tangent.
Yeah.
I feel like we should stop bringing that up, otherwise people are like, yeah, they do go on tangents quite a lot, don't they?
No, please continue.
So out come the rest of the team, and we see Peter Tanaka, the systems analyst, and Jessie O'Neill. They don't really say their job initially. I'm like, what was her occupation?
She's an apprentice, wasn't she,
basically?
basically?
Yeah, she's like a graduate, and she's like a university student.
Yeah, that's
sort of
been given this opportunity to come along on this expedition.
Yeah. You'd have thought he would have said that, though, at the time of introduction.
Yeah.
Right, I don't know. Weird.
She needs no introduction.
Well, yeah. Also, another Hollywood actor.
Yes.
From
Saw, I think everyone knows.
Yeah, what's the name? Shawnee Smith is it, I think.
I don't know her actual name. This.
Yeah, I only know her in Saw. What's that? Amanda Young, is it? I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a big fan of Saw, if I'm honest. I really enjoyed the first Saw. The first Saw would have been a great film if it had just been left there, I reckon.
Do you know what? The Saw films, I don't like them, but I have a guilty, sort of, if they're on, I'll just leave them on, and watch them.
Is it the same? Let's See the Deaths.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's all I watch it for.
Yeah.
It's just a gore horror.
It sounds sick saying it, but it's sort of I'm just
Let's see how creative they can get.
Creative, because it's obviously it's all make believe,
Yeah,
it's not,
of course.
It's all just stupid stuff, and half of it could never happen in real life anyway. But it's just let's see where they go. Yeah. I'm just interested. It's like that. I think there's that morbid. Any horror film, you're like, oh, what are they going to do now?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
The horror films, they always do the same. They just bleed it dry. As soon as it's successful, they just overplay it, don't they?
Yeah. With sequels and stuff like that. Yeah, most tend to just flounder out eventually, and then just.
But,
just stop.
Each their own. Some people enjoy it, and some people want more and more and more. And it's definitely there for someone because people do keep going. So, just not for me.
Do you know what though? Some horror films. I don't know if I've said this on here before, or just in person.
You're a horror film fan, though, aren't you?
Yeah, I quite like them. I watched one the other day actually. The Green Inferno. Have you ever seen that?
No,
it's Eli Roth.
I haven't heard of it.
It's Eli Roth, who did the Hostel films.
Yeah.
And played the Bear Jew in what's it?
He did in Inglourious Basterds.
Yeah. He wanted to make an homage to cannibal films from the 70s. It's such a weird, dumb film. There's a part where it's trying to be. It's got that typical kind of stoner, infused behavior in it. So there's a character in it who, somebody dies. They kill themselves because they don't want to live in what's happening, and they've got to try and escape from this cage. So he has weed in his shoe and stuffs it into this dead person's mouth. So when the cannibals cook and eat it, they all get high.
Oh, for
so
God's
then there's
sake.
a scene of all these cannibals doing weird stuff that apparently it's so ridiculous. But yeah, it's one of those that it's just a gory nonsense film. It was interesting, but I wouldn't be oh, you've got to see it. It's great. It's not like Hereditary where it's that's a really good horror film.
Yeah.
But anyway, tangents.
Please continue.
Anyway, so Mulder explains that they're the FBI, and Jesse's clearly scared by this experience and shook up.
They all seem pretty shook up.
Especially knowing what is happening to them later on.
Yeah.
Very understandable. And she just wants to get out of there. Mulder says that they need to find out what's happening. And Ludwig says that Trepko is what's happened here. So again, they're painting him as the villain. Mulder asks if Trepko's killed Erickson, and Ludwig says that he just flipped out after the descent. Doesn't explicitly say it, but they sort of say later on that he did kill Erickson. Jessie says that Trepko's has bipolar disorder, and she says that he didn't really advertise it, but he wasn't hiding it from anyone.
No, you talk about it if it was brought up.
Yeah, and she said that he took medication for it, and when he was on medication, there was no, you couldn't tell the difference. Ludwig says that Erickson's wife would disagree with that, stating that he
obviously if he's killed this guy, then yeah.
Yeah. Scully asks what Jesse's role is, and this is where she says that Trepkos was their thesis advisor. Again, this is where we find out that she's a university student of some kind. And Mulder finds Trepkow's notes that he's left. Jesse says that he started destroying his own work not long after it.
Very strange, knowing the personality type we know he is.
Exactly.
Very proud of his work.
She says that they salvaged what they could, but she doesn't think there's any use in what's left.
Yeah,
basically.
nothing of notes.
But Mulder, ever the inquisitive, straight away finds a line in this that just says "new life form" underlined.
I know, yeah, underlined a couple of times.
Yeah, very specific.
I think he smelt it.
Yeah, I just put on this. Spooky's on the case. And then we cut to outside and we see that Pierce is wandering in the woods, and he does the classic horror film thing of showing, "Is anyone there?" Well, you're dead, mate. You're definitely dead. Talking about watching horror films, I know you say that as your death sentence.
Yeah.
I think they say that in Scream, don't they? As one of the things to never say.
Scream is very meta, though, isn't it?
I love Scream for that. The rules of horror film is amazing.
I love the way it changes as you go through as well. Like, they do a reboot, and it was like a reboot of how horror films have changed and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
very clever.
I haven't watched the newest one, to be fair. I like the second one because it starts with like the Scream, like the first Scream is actually a film, and they're watching it, and he's like, "What?"
It is very clever.
Yeah. It was what Digimon did in the third series. Really bring it. Oh man, our references are completely off base at the moment. Anyway, back inside, we see Mulder asks Scully what she makes of all this, because he thinks they're acting paranoid. Scully says that with what they've been through, she doesn't think they're being especially
it's
unusual.
reasonable.
Yeah. And Mulder thinks that there's something else to this, and he says that Ludwig knew he wasn't Trepkow when he came swinging for him. I was about to type Mulder's a bit paranoid, and Scully just gets straight in there and she says it first.
You're paranoid, Mulder.
Yeah, literally just says that to him. Mulder thinks that they need to get Pierce's opinion on this, as he spent time with the team, so he would know.
He would know what their personalities are like.
Yeah, so they'll definitely get him. They'll get a comprehensive diagnosis from him, and we'll find out.
Yeah.
So we go back outside to Pierce, and he's digging up some seismographs, as it says on the box. But he gets tackled.
Yeah.
We don't see the attacker initially.
We can guess who it is, though.
Yeah. He starts getting strangled, and then we see it's Trepkow's. Yeah. And he's got a bandaged head and a really badly burnt face.
Yeah, he looks burnt on his entire left side, doesn't he?
Yeah. So,
or is it his right
right
side? Sorry,
yeah. And he says no one can leave, and he then breaks his neck and then just runs away.
Yeah.
So again, we're led to believe, well, he's the bad guy. He's the killer.
He definitely is at this point.
Yeah. It's now dark outside, and we see the whole team is out searching for him and shouting for Pierce. And we see Pierce's body lying on the ground, and then they find his body. Tanaka he's a bit distraught by all this again, as they now know two people have been killed by Trepkow.
Something we haven't mentioned as well, Tanaka's got like this sort of nasty cough.
Yeah.
They don't really make any mention of it really, but
until a bit later.
Yeah, but even when he first comes out of his hiding spot, he's got like this really. He doesn't look good either. He's got this really tickly cough.
So we go back inside, and Scully tells him to put his body in the freezer, and she tells Mulder that they need to radio it to helicopter. The crew take the body away, and Mulder says that they can't leave yet, not while Trepkow is still out there. Scully, quite sensibly, I think, suggests that they should leave, get back up, and come back. Yeah, basically. But Mulder says that he's found evidence in the notes that he was looking at that there's an unknown organism existing in the volcano, and he says it's nothing specific, just references. So he needs to find more out about this. Scully says that nothing can live in a volcano. It's too hot and the gases would be toxic. Yeah. Sensible. The notes describe metabolism from hydrogen sulfide to silicon dioxide, and Mulder says that this could suggest that this is actually a silicon-based life form. Scully says that the building blocks... Sorry, I had to stutter then.
Building blocks.
Scully says that the building blocks of all life require carbon. Now, have you heard... This is going off on a tangent again, but it's a related tangent. Have you heard that recently they found a life form that instead of instead of phosphorus as one of the building blocks, had arsenic in it?
No.
They found like this microbe that lives on the seabeds, on the, what are they called, the jets or whatever it is. The vents. There was a microbe they found, and of all the base blocks that they thought that you needed, it didn't have phosphorus as one, and it had arsenic. So that completely changed what
Interesting. How long ago was that?
It wasn't that long ago, like within the last 2 years maybe. Yeah.
No, I've not even heard about that, no.
I remember reading about it a while back, and they sort of said that that's completely widened the parameters now, because they know that you don't need that. It sort of says, well, which else one don't you need? And because she goes so hard at this, saying, no, there can't be anything like a silicon base. Like, knowing now that
interesting,
exists, it's like, well, it did make me think that, like, 20 years removed, how much of, like, the science of this can be, you can sort of say, well, we've moved on.
Yeah.
Saying, oh, that can't happen. Well,
I did find it interesting, this section, though, of, it was things I didn't know about, like, how similar silicon was to carbon in the way that it would react in an organism. And there was just a Mulder does go through it eventually. I'm sure you got it in your notes, but I found it fascinating that it was theoretically possible to have a silicon-based organism. Yeah. Because as soon as I heard of silicon-based organism, I just thought of the the mannequins in Doctor Who.
Oh, what they called, the autons or whatever.
I don't know what they're called, but I just thought of those. That's all I could think of. But
they suck like Noel, what's his name, into a thing and turn him into one.
I don't remember that. I don't remember a lot of it.
It's very early Doctor.
I literally remember the image of just the mannequins moving in the
firing
window.
at people.
Yeah, the hands came off and fired at somebody.
Classic Doctor Who.
Classic. I don't think that's the silicon-based organisms they're talking about here.
Probably not, no. But yeah, Mulder does say that, as you mentioned, the silicon's close to carbon, and it acts quite similar. I didn't really get you said you probably got in your notes, didn't get too much detail on it.
Yeah, no, you don't need it, but again,
similar.
Yeah, it does. It was very interesting.
He says that maybe Trepkos has found this silicon-based life down there, and Scully says that this is all just science fiction, which again I just thought was quite funny. Now it's like, not as far as
wrong, Scully.
Mulder says that they need to find the physical evidence that Trepkos mentioned, but Scully thinks that he destroyed it all, as he did with his notes. Mulder says, what if it was one of the others that actually destroyed all these notes? And he starts putting this theory out there that maybe Trepkos isn't the problem.
Yeah.
Again, very perceptive Mulder.
He always is.
Always got the right answer. Yeah. Scully says that...
Has he been wrong yet? Sorry to interrupt.
Ooh, good question.
I don't think he's been wrong yet.
I don't remember him being wrong about something, When he's got a hunch, he's usually bang on.
Maybe in... Oh, it's debatable, though. Maybe in Beyond the Sea.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because he was adamant that that guy was a fake.
For lack of a better word.
He just went straight for bullshitter. I was like, oh, God. You took me aback. Did you hear the hesitation in my voice?
I saw it in your face.
I was like, oh, God.
Don't mince my words.
But yeah, I suppose even that's debatable because you're not really sure whether he is or not. So, interesting. Yeah, I'm going to have to look out for that.
Scully says that they will have all had post-traumatic stress and they need to be evacuated, basically. And we cut to Jessie looking really anxious as Scully walks over to her. She asks Jessie what happened here, and Jessie says that after the first descent, Trepkos became withdrawn and paranoid. He locked himself in his lab for 3 days, and she found out that he'd stopped taking his pills. So they're thinking now that maybe this is some kind of episode or something like that. Trepkos said that they were polluting his brain and she was polluting his body. Is this trying to say that they were a couple?
I got maybe not a couple, but I got the impression it was more than that teacher.
Yeah.
student relationship or whatever it was.
That's what I picked up. They didn't really hammer.
They didn't go into it at all, really, apart from
the very end.
She had
maybe
a little bit of a look, didn't she, where she was like, she felt almost betrayed, maybe, but
and at the very end, I guess, with what he does. But
imagine building a relationship with a mentor and all the, complications that would bring, and then to be told that you're polluting his body. Like, what an awful insult.
It's not nice.
Imagine that. Just imagine. I can't be with you anymore because you're polluting my body. Oh, it's disgusting.
He's not a very nice man at this
It doesn't sound it now.
But this might all be shit, to be fair.
It could be, actually. Yeah. But in his defence, he might have just found the most groundbreaking discovery of all time.
Mm.
I can appreciate he might have other things on his mind than manners.
Yeah, true.
Do you think Einstein had manners when he made all his discoveries?
What were discoveries were they?
E equals MC squared.
Sorry, I was putting you on the spot there. It's 'cause...
I got it, sort of. What about Newton and gravity?
It's because you hesitated for a second. I was like, hang on.
Don't you test me, Luke. Don't you test me. I know the formula.
Sorry, that was more for my amusement. And she says that she doesn't want to die here. She says the only reason she came was because of Trepkos. I think, again, sort of hinting that maybe there's more to it.
Yeah.
And she said that it would be an adventure, and this would change her life. She says that 8 months is a long time, which I didn't realise they're out here for that long.
Yeah. I thought that was weird, actually, because what is happening in those 8 months? Because everything happens in 2 days when Mulder and Scully gets there.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, all the spores finally reach their birthing point, if you like, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And then, they've just been hiding. Like,
that's a good point.
He knows where they are. They're in the lab.
Oh, I don't know, yeah. Yeah, whatever.
We'll go with it.
Scully asks, where's home? And she says, anywhere but here.
Yeah.
We see Mulder listening to Trepko's recordings about the samples with evidence of this new organism. And he says it's either new or unfathomably old. Sorry, that was a hard word to say there. He ponders if his desire to find the truth has eclipsed the truth himself, the truth itself. Again, everything he says is sort of is a poetry in a ring. Like it has a lot of weight to it. And he starts talking about his descent and his struggle with it. I think he's talking about his mental descent again.
Again, very open with it. Like they said at the beginning, he is very open with it, and he's not afraid to admit that he is struggling. Yeah.
Mulder starts looking at the notes as the room starts shaking. He runs off, and we see Mulder enter a room with Ludwig and Tanaka, and he asks what's caused this. And Ludwig sort of says that if they had all their equipment still, they'd be able to tell him. Tanaka then starts coughing, as we mentioned earlier. Yeah. Or as you mentioned earlier.
A bit more violently now.
Yeah. This is the first point I noticed it anyway. And Mulder starts getting suspicious. And he says that Scully could look over him and check that cough out. But Tanaka just gets angry with him. And he pushes Mulder back. And as he does this, Tanaka falls down and starts seizing up. Mulder runs off to get Scully, and Ludwig picks up Tanaka and says, you want her to help you. Tanaka tries to protest, but Ludwig says that it's for the best, and they need to get out. Yeah. So again, it's sort of hinted at that what's happening to them, they're aware of it, and they don't want it to happen.
Yeah, there's something going on that isn't being talked about.
There's a lot of similarities in this one too. To Ice in terms of an isolated team being taken over, but the one thing that is different is in Ice they were sort of controlled by the parasite. In this one, it's sort of they are infected and they know, but they don't want to be, and they're trying to survive. I guess.
Yeah, it's two completely different types.
Yeah, exactly. So I will commend it for that they did get that motivation different.
It's quite interesting actually because they're both from deep underground, just in different.
One's ice, one's fire.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting sort of parallel to it, and then they're both parasitic creatures, but both work in completely different ways. I liked it. I didn't mind this at all.
Scully comes in with Mulder, and Ludwig says that he's burning up. Scully says that they need to get him to a hospital. And Mulder says, "What about Trepkos?" But she doesn't care at this point. She radios the helicopter team and requests a pickup. In the background, we see Tanaka just getting worse. Mulder and Ludwig stretcher him out, and he starts just like choking, and we see his throat, like the veins, and there's this bulging in his throat.
Yeah.
Scully gets Jesse and says they're getting out of here, and Jesse again has this strange, anxious look to her. Mulder and Ludwig then take Tanaka outside to get to the helicopter pickup point, and he jumps off the stretcher and just legs it.
Yeah.
They chase after him, and Tanaka falls down a ledge, and the two start seizing up again. Mulder stops Ludwig from going down there, and as this happens, Tanaka sits up and starts like seizing up again, and the thing just bursts out of his throat. This like
big explosion of dust as well.
Yeah. There's this the dust explosion, and there's this like weird, look like a twiglet, like this thing just poking out of his throat.
It's like a plant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a vine or something like that.
I mean, later on they say it's a fungus, so it makes sense that it looks like natural, like a plant, I suppose. We're then inside the station, and we see Tanaka's body wrapped up. Mulder asks Scully what they're dealing with here, and Scully says it appears to be a type of fungus, but it's of an unknown genus. She says that the spore grew inside Tanaka and then outgrew the host, but had already done massive damage to his body at this point. And Mulder also says they found sand in his lungs, which was silicon dioxide, which is the waste product of a silicon-based life form.
Yeah, which kind of proves the theory that we was working on before.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Ludwig says that there's no such thing as silicon-based life. He's with Scully, but this time Scully says, "Oh, maybe there is now."
Yeah, she's in the facts. She's going with it.
I've noticed that she is, since her kidnapping and what she's dealt with,
she's not resistant.
She's a lot more accepting. And I mean, to be fair, we've only got one episode to go on, but before she would really push against this, like
exactly. Thinking. She's not arguing about it. Like she gave her opinion in the start. She's seen something that's changed her mind, and she's going, okay, so the facts point it's here, which is a nice change because it's But I don't think it's just the kidnapping. I think that's a follow on from the finale of the last season as well. It is the case of, well, maybe I shouldn't be so stubborn in what I think the world is. Yeah. Maybe I should follow what the evidence tells me the world is. Yeah. And fair play, she's going with it.
She says that they need to look at the molecular structure of this organism. Mulder protests that it has to be true, that this has to be a silicon-based life. And he says that Trepkos was right. Jesse asks if Trepkos knew all along. And Mulder says that he found it when Firewalker went down.
The first descent.
Yeah, in the first descent. And she says that he would have told them. But Mulder says maybe not if he'd been so disturbed by what he'd found down there.
It's a good point.
Scully believes that this fungi could have affected Trepko's dementia, she calls it now. So I guess they're saying his mental state's deteriorated to something else. Yeah. And Ludwig says that they weren't exposed to this, but Scully says that they can't be sure. This could be an airborne pathogen, basically. And Scully says that no one can leave now. They all need to be checked, and they need to quarantine them. Well, Mulder then goes on to quarantine them, basically. He calls up to the helicopter and lets them know that they're cutting themselves off. He asks what type of quarantine, and he says it is a bioagent of unknown origin. Yeah. So
once again, another quarantine situation.
Yeah, they seem to find themselves in these a lot, don't they?
They certainly do. Yeah. But again, they got to look after the mass population, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true.
If they're going to throw themselves into the situation, you'd think they'd be a little bit more careful about throwing themselves into these situations. I know, yeah. Maybe take a hazmat suit with you next time.
Yeah, just or a gas mask.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah. So the helicopter stands down, and Ludwig goes to check on Jesse. Mulder starts to look at the body, and he says that he needs to find Trepkos. And Scully asks what if he's dead, and Mulder says that he needs to find out what he knows.
Yeah.
So sort of not caring about if, the consequences.
Yeah.
And what he knows could change the nature of the origins of life. Scully reminds him that he's dangerous, saying that he's killed 2 men. And Ludwig is eavesdropping on them at this point. He's listening in again, sort of being creepy, hiding around the corner.
Yeah, I had a bad feeling about this guy right from the start, to be honest.
Yeah, something's not right about him.
No, exactly.
And he's always hanging back and watching.
And I think it's also this sort of weird presumption that I have where if Mulder doesn't trust him, then immediately I don't trust him because Mulder, like we said earlier, he tends to be right.
He's got a good vibe, and
so as soon as Mulder shows doubt, I'm like, oh, this guy probably isn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But Mulder doesn't want Scully to go on this sort of mission with him, basically. And she reminds him that she's back and she's not going anywhere. Mulder says that she needs to finish the autopsy to get a better idea of what they're dealing with. So he does have a practical reason as to why he doesn't want to stay, but it sounds more like an excuse that he doesn't want to lose her again. So she carries on and continues to look at the body. Ludwig's talking to Jesse, and he says to her, "Do it like they said." She's like, "Okay, what's going on here?" And again, they're sort of scheming, so something's up straight away. Mulder enters and asks for help from Ludwig. Says he needs directions to the steam caves, is what Ludwig tells him are these things in pictures that he's got. He goes on the defensive, but he does tell him eventually that these like caves feed into the Sherman crater. And he asks how he got these pictures, which Mulder says that they were they received them from Firewalker before he got destroyed. Ludwig realizes that he's going after Trepkos at this point, and he says that he won't be able to find him with those. He says he'll need a guide, and he says he knows everything about those caves as he's studied them for such a long time.
He's lobbying to go with him.
Yeah. Whether this is probably definitely not altruistic. I'm thinking like he's not trying to help.
No, I'm not quite sure. We never find out what his plan was. I suppose.
Yeah.
So
could end in his prime.
Yeah. Speaking of,
but yeah, Mulder does ask why he's so eager to go with him, and he says that he doesn't just want to wait around and end up like the others did. And he also says that Mulder has a gun, which is a fair point.
Yeah. Mulder's his best chance of survival. So if Mulder ends up dying, falling down a hidden crater or anything like that,
that's
then
it. Yeah,
it makes sense. The logical explanation.
So they both descend into these caves, and Mulder makes a note about the smell. Again, it seems like they can't help it. Anytime they go into anywhere, go, "Whoa, what's that smell?" And Ludwig says what we presume is true anyway. It's sulfur and heat.
Yeah, I've heard sulfur smells pretty bad.
Eggs, doesn't it? Something like that. That's right here.
I don't know. Could be.
Rotten eggs, like that rotten egg
possible.
smell.
I'm not sure, but I know it notoriously smells bad. Apparently.
Yeah. And he says that this cave extends about 3/4 of a mile to the crater. It says twists and bends around. He says in here there'll be like a rat in a maze. But out of nowhere, a flare flies past and hits Ludwig.
Straight in the back as well.
Straight in the back, yeah. He starts burning up as Mulder runs over to him, but he just burns to death on the floor, basically.
A flare couldn't do this, could it?
Yeah, because it can. I think the actual impact of the flare appears here, and then you've just got a burning sort of thing in you.
I thought it was basically just like a big firework.
I've heard, I think with a flare gun, or because it fires it with the velocity, it sort of just lodges this burning thing into you.
God, what a way to go.
I know, yeah. I think it's the shock would probably kill you more than anything.
It'd be burning your lungs.
Yeah. Where he hit him, yeah. Anyway, Trepko then appears from the shadows, and it appears that he's the one who's shot this guy, as he's now got a flare gun pointed at Mulder.
Yeah.
We then cut back, it sort of fades to black and cuts back, and Trepko's still got his gun, his flare gun aimed at Mulder, and he tells Mulder to give him his gun. He takes it from him, and Mulder steps back.
Yeah.
Trepko then pours petrol on the body that he's just burned, and Mulder asks, why is he doing this? Haven't you already killed him? And we start seeing this like sort of throbbing again in Ludwig's throat.
Yeah.
And Trepko says that it's not him that he's trying to kill, and he then lights the body on fire.
Without a second's hesitation either.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of, you know, in Predator and Alien and stuff like that, you know, where the hero or heroine, they get to a point where they've experienced it and they know what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're battle hardened, and that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
Like, he's not even fazed by this human life that's just been lost anymore.
He knows that there's something more insidious inside it, doesn't he? Yeah. And we then cut back to Scully, who's testing. She's got some test tubes on a flame. She says that she's been trying to cultivate these spores, these fungus spores, using temperatures from the human basal to the insides of a volcanic interior. Same thing, the insides of a volcanic interior. She said she's also tried to cultivate it using human tissue, saliva, blood, and even sulfur. And she says in all of these 7 trials, none of them have worked. She theorizes that unless this spore is ingested immediately, that the spore essentially dies.
Yeah.
And that she then goes to knock and try and find Jessie, basically. But she won't open the door. She just calls out to her. And Scully says that they should be safe from the spore. We then see inside, and Jessie sort of coughing and seizing up and choking again.
Panics.
Yeah, so we know that they've all been infected now, basically. Mulder's still with Trepkos, and he asks what went wrong. And Mulder says that Firewalker brought something to the surface, and then Trepko says that it was an elephant.
Yeah.
This
is very dramatic, isn't it?
Yeah. Not the time or place, really.
No. A little science lesson here.
Yeah, he goes on to say that the truth is an elephant, described by 3 blind men. The first touches the tail and says it's the rope. The second touches the leg and says it's a tree. The third touches the trunk and says it's a snake. Cool.
How unimpressed are you?
I don't know what you meant to make of this, other than it's like, well, it sounds cool, but you know what I mean? Like, other than that, like, Mulder then asks what he thinks the truth is, basically. And he says that the Earth holds truths. Trepko says that the Earth holds truths best left buried. So he is clearly now on this side of trying to stop this stuff from getting out. Mulder, even says, like the spore, and Trepko asks who Mulder is, basically. And he says he's FBI. And he says he doesn't look like police. So Trepko says that he's come here to petition heaven to get some penetrating answers. He can't even then say he's got an ulterior motive. You know what I mean? He has to have a long-winded way of saying it.
Yeah.
He says that if he found the answers, what would he do with them? Mulder says that he just wants to know what he's found, basically. So Trepko lets him know. He says that it was a porous obsidian thing that looked like a rock, basically. So Erickson was instructed to smash it open for analysis. And he says that they discovered something that turns life on its head. He says Trepko was too immersed in his work to notice that Erickson had been infected. And he says that it was in his lab for 3 days, which is what we heard before.
Yeah.
And then he heard the scream. And this is when he found out Erickson had died and the rest of the crew had been infected and had started to change. He says that it's a parasite, but he says that he wasn't infected by it.
Yeah.
Mulder says that he destroyed this work in the transmitters and he killed Pierce so that no one could leave. And he reiterates this and says no one can leave. This time now including Mulder and Scully by the sounds of it.
He knows that there's much more at stake than just this team.
Exactly. Especially if they sort of report information to the outside world. And he says they were all exposed. He says that Scully's now with Jessie and he just wants to go to her, but he pulls a gun on Mulder. And he says that he can't let him leave. And Mulder, quite brazenly, just says, well, you're going to have to shoot me because I'm walking out of here.
Yeah, I mean, considering he's just watched this guy just murder this guy in cold blood twice.
Yeah, it's a brave stance to take.
It is. It really is.
It also doesn't really explain later on how he got away from him. That he must have just left him go.
Walked, I don't know.
Just let him go.
Appeal to his better nature, but again, Judge, it doesn't really make sense because well, it worked.
It did work, yeah. Scully's looking into a microscope as she's sort of continuing the investigation, and the lights go out. She goes to investigate and calls for Jesse. She checks the fuses, but none of them work. And as soon as she shuts the fuse box, we see Jessie is waiting there, and she just starts grasping at her throat and starts choking. We then cut back and see Mulder running through the forest, so he's clearly got out.
Yeah.
We cut back and we see Mulder. We see Scully take Jessie to a table, and she tries to break off some handcuffs that she's got attached to her.
Yeah.
I don't remember her handcuffing her.
I'm glad you said that because I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to be honest, I didn't go back and look. I just thought I must have missed it. But
Yeah.
I didn't remember the handcuffs going on her.
It was something where it's like, that was weird. Where did that come from? But it didn't affect the plot enough to me to think.
No, it's fine. I just rolled with it. Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I'm glad you thought that as well, though, because I thought they came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I don't know if she sort of handcuffed them when she was on the fuse box thing or something like that. Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe they just cut a scene. The continuity was completely forgotten about.
It's possible, yeah.
We come back to Mulder and he's still heading towards the camp. And we see Scully carrying Jessie to a cupboard, and she shuts her in at this point. Jessie starts banging on the glass because they're handcuffed together. She's sort of holding the door shut. But we see a blast of like mist or whatever it is again against the glass. And this is where we know that the parasites burst out of her throat.
And you can see if Scully was in that vicinity, she'd have definitely got infected because it's against the window. You really get an idea of what happens when this bursts out. Like the spores just spread out into the immediate vicinity. So Scully would have been affected if she hadn't have done what she did. Yeah,
exactly. And this is where Mulder finally gets here, runs in, he checks on her, he gets the handcuffs off, and Mulder starts explaining what basically Trepkos told him. And she asks if he found Trepkos, and he walks in at this point. He puts the gun down and looks at Jessie, and I think he realises now what's happened to this team. And he then reiterates what she said earlier on, saying that he told her it would change her life, and he just looks down at her dead, basically. Yeah. And he starts to mourn, I think, at what's happened.
Yeah, he especially seems sorrowful for Jessie.
Yeah.
It's this particular death that's hurt him.
Mulder calls up to the helicopter, and they ask how many survivors, and he looks around, but then just replies 2. It's him and Scully. Scully asks why that he's not reported him back, and Mulder just says that it's over now. He's not going to talk. And then we cut to the last scene, and it's the army coming in with fumigators and doing a clean-up of this space, basically. Mulder's explaining over the top of this that they've been in a month-long quarantine. So again, in another quarantine.
I know, yeah.
I mean, understandable this time, knowing what's happened, but yeah. He says that they're okay so far and there's no sign of this fungus. The camera then zooms in to one of the jackets or one of the
logo.
Uniforms.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on what this was about.
It's a symbol, and I can't really describe what it is. Like, it looked like, and I know it definitely isn't this. It looked like 2 like clubs, like golf club things, crossed. And then in the middle was like something that looked like a spark plug from a car. I know it's definitely not that.
It could be. You never know.
The Mechanics Golf Society is now looking into it. I don't believe it is that, but that's what it sort of looked like. But it doesn't really explain what this is. I get the feeling this is going to come up again.
Or maybe it's come up before and we've missed it.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it's been like listed throughout the series. I have not seen it before, but it was so obvious that we were supposed to take note. Even the music changed to this ominous music. So yeah,
I think if there is this like sort of conspiracy group that's sort of like leading this, maybe this is their insignia.
It's possible, and then it's an easy way to sort of identify them, isn't it?
Yeah, if we see it again, it's definitely something we need to look out for. I think.
Without a doubt.
Mulder says that the military has confiscated all of their data. He says that nothing will be left for them to retrieve after everything's been destroyed. He says that there's been no plans to check the rest of the volcanoes in the mountain range. And then we see Trepkos, who's carrying Jessie down into the caves. As Mulder states that they found Firewalker and retrieved some of the data they retrieved stuff from it, but they couldn't find Trepkos or Jesse, and they were unaccounted for. He says that Firewalker was damaged beyond repair.
Yeah.
So again, the story's dead with them, and he even says that the only record is with him now.
Yeah.
And that's where we leave the episode, sort of zooming into Firewalker and into Black. So, yeah, what did you think of the episode?
Yeah, I enjoyed this episode. It wasn't groundbreaking. I don't think it's not going to make my top 5 at the end of the season.
No.
But I did enjoy it, and it was a nice break from the Mythos episodes. And I thought it was strong performances all around from the cast as well.
Yeah.
Especially, I don't know who plays her, sorry, but Jessie.
Shawnee Smith, I think it was.
Yeah, it might be. I thought she was really good all the way through it. I thought she was a very, very strong performance throughout. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, it sounds like such a nondescript way of putting it, but that was basically, I enjoyed it. Yeah. What about yourself?
It was okay. Like, I had a few issues. Like, the story was a bit too similar to Ice, I found.
Yeah,
like,
they really played on this sort of distrust angle, which we've seen before.
I mentioned earlier that I did like that they changed it so they knew they were infected and were trying to stop it in some way.
Yeah.
But I did feel like, the setup of it was too similar to Ice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was a bit disappointed by that. But the actual cast and the performances were really good. So I thought that did elevate it above it. So I'd sort of put it in the middle, like sort of like you said, an okay episode.
There's nothing wrong with this episode.
Yeah.
In fact, sometimes you need episodes like this to sort of mellow it out a bit.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll come to our
Luke's production notes.
production notes.
We need to stop. You need to stop announcing the production notes at the end.
I know.
You need to stop doing that. I did it as a joke last week. I'm involved. I know I am.
So, Howard Gordon was inspired to write this episode after seeing two news reports.
Seeing Ice.
yeah. Oh, that's a good episode, man. I'll try that again. After seeing two news reports about Project Dante, which was a robotic explorer created by NASA that had been sent into a volcano.
Okay.
So yeah, quite literal sort of take on it. Chris Carter said of the episode, I think.
Sorry, what was the other news reports?
I know it was two news reports.
Oh, two reports on the same thing. Okay.
Okay. Chris Carter said of the episode, I think that's the first time in a second season that we were telling what's one of our serial stories rather than our mythological stories. In other words, it was an X-File rather than one of the cosmology shows that explore the characters. I don't know what he means by that, to be honest.
I think it basically means it's the first monster of the week. I think we've had monsters of the week.
I don't.
Especially, what was the title of that episode with the fluke worm?
Oh, the host.
Yeah, was that the title?
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Yeah. So that one monster of the week. Maybe it means it's the first X-File, which technically it is. No, because the vampires was an X-File. So yeah, I'm not sure what he means by that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Basically, I think it means no character development. It's just the story. Maybe he means that.
Potentially. Maybe it is just because it's one in the morning and we're sort of like, I don't know what he means. However, Gordon felt that the episode allowed him to explore the possible results of Mulder's search for the truth, echoing this of the mindset of Daniel Trepkos and the interactions between the two characters.
Yeah, I didn't think of it like that, but yeah.
There's sort of echoes of his journey, I suppose. So yeah, that makes sense. Gordon noted that the natural endpoint of this quest for the truth is madness, comparing Mulder's treatment of Trepkos with the events of the novel Heart of Darkness. Have you ever read that?
No.
I've never read it. I've seen bits of Apocalypse Now, which I hear is very, very similar. So, here's about this for some groundbreaking notes. God. The episode shared themes with the previous episodes from the first season, such as Ice and Darkness Falls, which both feature the agents finding new life forms in remote locations. James Wong...
breeze past.
Yeah. James Wong was somewhat negative concerning the episode's similarities to Ice, saying that if the show starts to cannibalize itself, there's going to be trouble.
Yeah, I can see where he's coming from.
Yeah, I think if there was another episode that was very similar to this in the third series, you'd be like, okay, like, stop this. If there's one with water, that's it. I'm like, what other elements can we do?
What was the best episodes from season 1? Do you think that you could rip off? Like, let's think of the best, or maybe not the best. Like some of the most memorable monsters of the week. Obviously, you got Tombs. Could you rip off Tombs anyway?
No, I feel like because they've already had the sequel, I think you don't. I think if you tried to do that again, it'd be really obvious. You know, really.
Yeah.
They've already had one where a dead person inhabits somebody twice.
Yeah, they've done that twice.
We've already had the ghost one twice. What's one that they've not revisited?
The Fire.
Yeah, but apparently that was panned. People really did not like that one. That one and Jersey Devil. So maybe that's why they didn't come back, because people didn't like them.
Possible. Yeah, interesting.
Gordon stated, however, I know there are some similarities to Ice, but I think once you get beyond the similarities of a group of people in a confined space going up against the creature, there are enough differences to separate the two.
Which is kind of what I said earlier.
Yeah. I can see that. As the mountains of Cascade Range were too far from Vancouver to serve as a location, the film's crew settled on a nearby forest that had a partial view of the mountains.
Okay.
Close enough. The set used for the interior of the field-based camp was later sold to the production company responsible for the TV series The Sentinel, whilst the interior was shot inside a British Columbia hydro substation. They use those a lot from what I've...
Yeah.
They use that in The Host as well, a substation.
Yeah, I can see why, because it must have so many great filming locations where it just looks like... It's things that normal people wouldn't know what they was.
Yeah, definitely.
So you can use it for whatever you need it to be.
And the last one, the set that represented the interior of the volcano was built, and footage filmed there was achieved through the use of a crane.
Oh.
So yeah, some production notes.
I like it.
So, yeah, that's all there is for this week, I suppose. Next week will be our Christmas special.
Yes, I can't wait for our Christmas special.
Obviously, we want as many people as we can to get in touch with us. So what's our topic? We're sort of saying we want your Christmas stories, your Christmas questions.
Let's just keep it nice and simple. What's your plan for Christmas?
Yeah.
Or the holiday season, if you don't celebrate Christmas.
Yeah. Or any Christmas related, that stuff, or any Christmas questions you've got for us. Like if you're interested,
get in touch and we'll make a nice episode about it. And then
Christmas related, that's what we're after.
And then we'll enjoy an episode of The Simpsons featuring the X-Files.
Yeah. Have you ever seen it before?
I've not, and I'm really looking forward to watching it.
Okay. Yeah, that should be really good.
It's gonna be fun.
I'm looking forward to watching it again because I remember the bits from it, but not enough to where I'm like...
You'll enjoy it more now that you know what the references
are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of references as well from seeing bits and pieces. So.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. If you want to get in touch with us, you can contact us via email, which is mostunwantedpodcast@gmail.com. You can get in contact with us via social media accounts.
Just search for our name.
We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As we mentioned, Facebook is kind of barren. Yeah. But that's because no one uses Facebook anymore.
They don't. I'm getting rid of it. I keep on meaning to do it. I will get rid of it.
Get in touch with us with your Christmas stories, Christmas questions.
Yeah,
Christmas
look
stuff.
forward to you for our Most Unwanted Christmas next week. Yeah.
And your thoughts on this episode as well. Easy episode to watch, so I reckon watch it early and let us know what you think.
The Simpsons episode. Definitely. Yeah. Send us mini reviews.
And if you want to give us any reviews on this episode, we'll probably cover that in the week after, I think. Yeah. That'd probably make the most sense, but yeah. But anyway, for now, that's us.
That's us.
Yeah. We'll see you next time, guys.
Christmas is coming.
I want to go to bed. shadow moving. They see it like looming over.
And
this
it's
guy.
What was it? 300 degrees.
300 Celsius. Yeah.
What can possibly that be? That's not the right way to say that. Can we redo?
He's like Charlie trying to do.
Compose yourself, Luke. Come on. Voting for me is the right thing to do for Philadelphia. So do. Doesn't make any sense.
But anyway,
taxes, they'll be lower.
Son.
So we'll compose ourselves.
Okay.
Who on earth could that be?
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah?
Who could be that?
Who could be that?
Didn't even mean that, but it works now, didn't it?
Who could be that?
Who could be that? I'm keeping both of these in, so we both sound like idiots.
Oh yeah, you've turned on me, have you?
Yeah.
I see what's happened here.
I'm not being the fall guy anymore.
Actually, thinking back on it, we never find out.
It doesn't explicitly say. The assumption.
That's a good point. Actually,
the assumption is that it's Trepkos,
but it can't be because it's 300 degrees.
And he's a normal human being.
Yeah,
unless that's what.
Yeah. No, he'd have died. No, he'd have died. What? Come on. No, he.
No, he would have died.
I'm trying to keep this right so that it flows, because the one thing we haven't got in this episode is flow.
I think we should just do one episode where we just do an accent for the entire episode. Just randomly.
What, the New Year episode?
Yeah. Scully shits.
Scully what? Scully shits.
Scully shits. She's not ready. Oh, right.
Mulder's just like, come on.
You're not coming with us.